Do you ever have, during the course of a day, more normally in the morning than the afternoon or evening, something comes into your mind as a result of seeing something, and you remember that you had a dream last night in which that thing featured?
Sort of like deja vu.
Well, you might just pick the phone up and it's an auntie you haven't spoken to for ages, and you suddenly realise that you dreamed about her last night. Well, my point is this: if you dream about your auntie, she's probably doing something ridiculous, like chasing after you with a gun.
Yeah.
Now, you've got that thought and that memory in your mind as a memory of your auntie being a terrifying person, because that's how she was in your dream.
Mm-hmm.
That memory is there. It just has to be accessed. But the memory and the emotion that's attached to the memory is part of your mental makeup. So has it affected the way you actually feel in what's called real life, i.e. waking life, about your auntie?
Well, I think the dreams have got to come from somewhere, and your life is what you've got in your brain. That's all going in. Your brain and your dreams are just scooped up from that. So you can't have a dream about anything that isn't outside your life.
No, that's true. But then having had the dream, does it then affect your perceptions about the things that were images in your dream?
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Even if you pretend not to believe about those things, you're still going to think about it, still going to play.
See, I often have nightmares about whales.
Right.
Not the country, but the animal.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because I was attacked on one of my expeditions. I was attacked by a very ferocious 50-ton whale.
Right. Oh, crikey.
I know. I had nightmares about this for months afterwards.
Yeah.
And had another one only about a week ago.
Uh-oh.
As a result of talking about it on this show.
Yeah.
But it is... I felt understanding and sympathy for the animal when I was there, because we were wrong to intrude on its territory when it was nurturing its young.
Yeah.
But I have obviously had an awful lot of dreams in which this animal is a figure of a threat.
He's a bad guy.
Yes, a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well put, a bad guy.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to think now whether it's affected my general perception of the animal in reality. The fact that I've had these ludicrous dreams. In one of them, the whale was chasing me up the Thames.
Yeah.
In one nightmare. And I managed to get onto dry land, and it flopped over onto the embankment and started flipping after me.
Yeah.
Ludicrous.
I think it will affect you whether you want it to or not.
But I wonder how. Because I don't feel ill about these animals.
No, but it's not one thing or the other. You might feel a little more against them than you would have been. Anyway, another thing you were saying about your son, whether if he was born at a different time, would he be the same person? Well, I think if he was born, say, a year later, he wouldn't have seen the same things on the television, the same things happening at the same time of his development. And his spirit would have been developing along with him. So he might have been the same person at the start.
Yeah.
But he'd be slightly different now and more different later on.
But would it be him? Supposing a different sperm had made it to the egg.
Yeah.
From the one that was you.
Yeah.
All right. Would I be talking to you now?
No, you'd be talking to someone else, but then that other person might...
So you would never have existed? No.
Possibly not at the same time, no.
Where would you be?
A possibility. Perhaps.
Good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you think of the odds against that sperm getting through?
Oh, but it did happen, though. So, I mean, once things happened...
But what you don't know is whether lots and lots of sperms in the past that could have been you ended up not making it. I mean, what happens to the sperms that die?
They just die.
Yeah, but then where do they go? They're corpses. It's a horrible thought.
Well, yeah, but at that level, they're not really anything. You see, I believe that...
They're not really anything?
Well, not at that point.
There can hardly be any more potent, complex animal ever dreamed up. 500,000 of them get launched out in this fluid to go and do what a sperm has to do. And they contain everything about you.
Oh, yes, it is fantastic. But what I'm saying is that what I am started maybe before I was born, and even that, but what I am is still the accumulation of all my years on this earth. So even if something in my past had changed, I wouldn't be me now.
Yeah, but those are clothes. Those are cosmetic aspects of you. The real you is a small, quiet, perhaps frightened voice that's right deep down inside. When you put your hand on your chest and say me, and when you look out from that pillar box slit that is your two eyes, and you see the world outside of you, within you there is an essential you. All I want to know is whether that essential you is a coming together of the egg and the sperm, or whether perhaps that essential you enters the machine, the ghost in the machine that they talk about, at some point whilst you're gestating.
I think it's a combination of the two, because you've got all the complex machinery of the sperm and the egg, and that's very complicated stuff, and that is complicated enough to have its own magic. So it may be a combination of the two that make a person.
Do you know why I'm feeble?
I would like to say, Henry.
Because one of the TV screens in this studio happened to be, I was looking for the wrestling, and I ended up with some German station, and I switched it off because it was embarrassing about an hour ago.
Yeah.
And then during a commercial break not long ago, I leaned across and switched it on again.
To see what was going on.
Yeah. I'm being too honest here. And do you know what it says?
What's that?
It says to view ring, and then there's a telephone number if you want to. You've obviously got to cough up pay dirt to get back into it. So, but I just thought I'd tell you that because it's true.
You check back.
Yeah, and it lifts the conversation and takes us out on a fun note. I've enjoyed talking to you, mister.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Well,
do you not think it was a bit?
No, I don't.
A bit more sinister in it than that?
No, definitely not.
What can I ask you? Why do you think that?
How do you know that I think anything?
Well, I'm asking you a question. Do you think that they suddenly wanted to do something about it because they thought the problem would spread to the general populace, whereas at the time they thought it was just limited to gay men?
Well, I've got a lot of problems with what you're saying at the moment because you keep going about them, and they're only people. And you mentioned this thing before.
Well, not them.
Can I finish?
Tommy, no, I must respond, Tommy. I must respond.
No, you mustn't. You mustn't. Shut up. No, you must shut up and listen, because I'm talking now. And don't start getting arsey with me.
You're coming across as very right-wing, Tommy.
Shut your face.
You see what I mean? You're being abusive now as well.
Yeah, go away. You're rubbish. Go on, clear off. Go on, shove off.
What kind of a way is that to talk to someone who's having a serious...
No, you had this garbage up your sleeve, and as soon as I started to respond and didn't say the kind of, the usual namby...
No, I don't know, Tommy. I
didn't engage you in the usual kind of namby-pamby. Oh, yes, I'm sure that this agenda of yours is terrible and well spotted, and aren't we all wonderful, and everybody else is stupid and horrible. I don't go along with that. I'd rather challenge your views because I think they're lazy, I think they're sullen, I think they're divisive, I think they're
Can I respond to that, Tommy? Can I respond?
No, you can when I've finished, because I've listened long enough.
It's getting like a monologue, Tommy.
No, I haven't even started yet, pal. You haven't listened to a word I'm saying.
Tommy,
You're not interested in a word.
I'm not your pal.
In a word I'm saying.
Tommy,
you don't know what I think.
Get a word in, Tommy.
That's because I'm talking, and I'm going to carry on talking until you start listening to me.
I'm listening, but you are not allowing me to respond.
That's because you should listen first.
You are not allowing me to respond,
That's because
Tommy.
You're not listening.
I'm listening, but Tommy,
what have you got to respond to?
Allow people to interject, Tommy.
Can I just ask you?
Can I interject, Tommy?
Can I ask you?
Can I interject, Tommy?
Can I ask you a question?
Are you learning to listen yet, Tommy? Can I interject? Or is this just a monologue coming from you?
Can I point out something?
Tommy, I've asked to speak, and you finished what you're saying, and you're not allowing me to respond what you just said.
I haven't finished speaking. You asked me a question, and before...
You were very abusive, Tommy.
I was abusive because you asked me a question, and before I'd even begun to answer
no excuse for abuse.
There is.
It shows a lack of intellect.
You have a lack of intellect.
You can't even say the word, Tommy. You just tripped over yourself. You said intellect.
What are you trying to prove?
Intellect.
What are you trying to prove?
I'm not trying to prove anything, but I would like to respond to what you said earlier, which I find very right-wing of you to say.
Repeat it back to me.
No, I'm not a parrot, Tommy. I want to say what I wanted to say earlier. You wouldn't allow me to come in. You're just trying to spin me around in circles.
Oh, go away. Terrible man. Awful man. Really unpleasant character. What's the need for that? What's his problem? Did I miss something there?
I don't know. But, I mean, it's a simple answer. I mean, obviously, if the world's population can be affected rather than just a niche of the population, it becomes a massive, much bigger story.
No, that's not his problem. His problem is he wants anybody to agree with him.
Yeah, but he's wrong.
I know. I know. Now, my point is there aren't any powers that be, and there isn't an agenda, and there isn't a conspiracy. I found through my wisdom and through my years of watching and engaging that everybody's just people, lost and confused and struggling along and trying to make sense of their lives.
There's really shouldn't have been anything to worry about, but as you can see,
you must do the broken crockery gag.
What's that?
Right, it's very simple. What you do is you get some old china plates and cups, and you break them. And you put them in a cardboard box, quite a big one, and you taking this down? Good. And you wrap it up in nice wedding paper, put a load of nice ribbons on it.
Okay.
All right? And at some point, preferably towards the beginning of your speech, you say that although the wedding presents have been laid out, there is a special present from you to the lovely couple, something that you bloody cherish. And then you get a waiter to bring it to you. Now, he doesn't know that it's broken crockery already in there, right? Loose, right? Because you know what you're going to do, don't you?
Oh, I've got an idea, right?
Yeah, you drop it on the floor as soon as he hands it to you. And he never fails. Now, there'll be at least one person there who will know what's going to happen. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
People appreciate a bit of slap. So that's your first one, all right?
Okay.
And that really works. Even if it's it never fails. Even if it's a shoebox with, bloody blah. Now, have you got to read out telegrams?
I would imagine so, aye.
Yeah, okay. Well, you just read them out.
Okay.
But it's quite a good idea, if you can, to do some sort of a funny one.
Right. I mean, what happens if you stand up there and you just can't speak? No, I mean, public speaking isn't really my forte, so to speak,
No, I understand.
I mean, my stomach's in knots just thinking about it.
I'm sure it is. Well, look, if you've got telegrams, just read them out without looking up so you don't catch anybody's eye.
Okay.
Just stand up and say, ladies and gentlemen, some messages from those who could not be here today. And just read them in a loud, steady voice without looking up to catch anybody's eye. Stage fright is a terrible thing.
Sounds easy.
I wouldn't know of. Do you know, tell you the honest thing, I get nervous when I haven't got an audience.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I get frightened on my own. I can be in the car, and the car pulls up at a red light and I talk to it.
I'll do that, then. That's not a problem.
Yeah. All right, well, there's that gag.
Okay.
And a visual thing.
Have you been in this situation yourself, Tommy, eh?
Yeah, I have, but, I was already working as a stand-up comic the first time.
That's a doddle for you,
I know, it was. They couldn't get me off. I did 45 minutes.
Most people will probably think this is rather trivial, but when you're faced with it in 7 days' time...
No, my brother's a psychologist, and he has as many people coming to him because they've got to give a speech for the first time in their lives as he has coming to him because they want to lose weight or give up smoking. He just gets them... He just teaches them to stand confidently with your shoulders back and your chin out and your eyes wide open and speak in a loud voice. So talk slowly to me now. Go on.
Would you advise me having a little dram before I do it? No.
I would not.
Clear mind.
I would not advise you.
Because I think that tends to loosen the old...
I would not advise you to have a clear dram. I would advise you to get on, get off, in that order as quick as you can.
Yeah.
Don't think you've got to give a long speech.
Don't hang about. What would you reckon? 3 minutes? 4 or 5 minutes? Tops at that.
Tops, because people want to just get down to it. And, if you do one gag
Crockery.
If you can do the crockery gag, they'll love you for doing it.
Okay.
And you will get a long laugh. And listen, when you get a laugh,
Yeah.
go for the second laugh.
Okay.
Right? The second laugh is you drop the crockery, right, and you'll get a laugh.
Yeah.
Then, if you just stand there, looking a dick, you'll get a bigger
That
laugh.
should be easy.
Okay, but you've got to stand there and wait for it.
Mm.
And wait for it. And wait for it, and it will come.
Okay.
Because people always laugh, and then they stop and they think, and they laugh even louder.
Okay.
And that is the mark of a really good comic.
Okay.
Is waiting for the second laugh. Then read your telegrams.
And get the hell out of there.
Tell the bride and groom how much you love them, and wish everybody a safe journey home. And
Okay.
get off.
Tommy,
Have a great time.
I'll try my best.
I hope I've been some help.
I'm sure you have.
I do hope so. Have a
What I
great time.
sincerely hope is that you get a more suitable time where I can hear you more, because I miss your show greatly, I must admit.
Well, that's kind of you, but I do enjoy the freedom that you get in the middle of the night.
English.
Yes, I know. We've been round this. You're obviously not somebody who can move forward, are you? You're not. You're obviously not somebody who can take on board an idea.
Oh, yes, I am.
Well, you've got to take on board the idea that I've given you because it's new, fresh, and vigorous, and swirl it around that cavity of yours known as the skull, and see whether anything sticks to the walls. All right, Petal. 08700 40 50 60 is the telephone number.
Timmy Mallet. Are you still friends with Timmy Mallet?
Never was and never will be. Well, what do you think? You know, you've seen the guy. Well,
I don't know.
What do you think?
He struck me as quite a fun sort of a character.
You are drunk, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I was.
You know what the man said about the reasons why he drinks, and it's one that I use as well. He said I drink in order to make other people more interesting.
Is that what? That's what he said.
That's what the man said. Yes.
Timmy Mallet said that?
Gee, no. I'm afraid the wit and wisdom of Timmy Mallet would certainly fit on the back of a matchbox. And he didn't come out with that one. I've never seen him drunk, actually. I don't suppose he drinks. I don't know what he does.
I've seen him drunk, actually.
No, you haven't.
Okay, you saw right through me there.
Yes, I did. A little bit lately. I'll mention it on the radio now. I think I've touched on it the week before last. Because when people die, it's always presented as a tragedy. It really frightens the children into assuming that the worst thing that could possibly happen to you is you die. And yeah, it's going to happen to you. You know, if the worst thing that can happen to you is that you fail your A-levels, well, A, you can talk round that, and B, you can work hard and get them. But the same doesn't apply to death, because it's going to happen. So what we're doing is setting up all the children in the world to be terrified of something that is going to happen to them anyway, come what may. And I just wonder whether that we just need to soften slightly the message that death is an absolute disaster. Always. Because it isn't necessarily, especially if people choose to go. 08700 40 50. Well, we lost that call because it wasn't really very good. It's on Talksport. Good morning.
Hello.
I'm going to say good morning.
Hello.
Hello yourself.
Yes, hello.
What gives?
Yes, would you like to call yourself Pleb Radio? This is terrible. It's so low. For God's sake, get out of that and get to a proper job. That's desperate. It really is. Are you
going to stay and have the argument though, or are you going to chicken out and clear off? Because people like you usually.
I won't chicken out, but right. He does cut people off.
You're a snob.
Everybody.
You're a snob. What are you?
Pardon?
You're a snob.
Everybody cuts people off.
You're a snob. You're a snob.
And what are you, dear?
I'm a man of the people. I love all of humanity.
Oh, yes, I could. You love me, don't you?
Listen to your fake accent.
Oh, yes, you love me
your
so
fake
much.
accent, it's terrible.
Don't you love me
your problem is...
What a lovely man.
Are you going to have a conversation with me or not?
You're not having a conversation, you're just insulting me.
Well, you insulted us.
I didn't insult you personally.
You insulted my listeners.
I didn't insult you
My
personally.
listeners are decent people.
I insulted your radio station, which is just a pleb radio.
Look, darling.
You're proletariat.
Yes.
You're absolute rubbish.
Yes. Are you going to have the conversation, or are you just going to witter on like this?
What's the conversation?
Well, what's wrong with ordinary people?
Is the conversation just listening to you?
Let me ask you a question. Do you think you're going to be able to hear it?
Yes.
Do you want to try and hear? We'll judge whether you can hear a question. We'll judge your listening ability from the way in which you listen to this question and then answer it.
What's your name?
Mind your own business.
No. What's your name?
My name's what it always has been. I've been on the radio for 25 years. It hasn't changed.
You're not Tommy Boyd.
I'm not Tommy Boyd.
No, that's all right. Tommy Boyd was cut off from Talk Radio for a long time.
Yes, he was sacked.
Yes, he was.
Because of people like you.
No reason,
Yes.
and there was a very good reason why he was
And what
sacked.
was that, my little friend?
I beg your pardon?
And what was that, my little friend?
Because he was dangerous.
Dangerous?
He was dangerous to children who listened to him in the afternoon.
What?
He was a dangerous person.
Could you expand on that?
He proposed dangerous sides to things, and you know it.
Such as?
And if you don't know it, you weren't there.
Such as?
It's too long ago to remember.
Do you remember any of it?
It's too long ago to remember now.
What
but
a
I remember
dreadful creature you are.
at the time ringing up and saying,
Yes.
although
You can't remember anything that was
Would
said.
you like
You
to
didn't
have
hear
a-
anything that was
would
said.
you like
It's all
to-
in your imagination.
Would you like to
suffer
have a
from paranoia
conversation?
and persecution
would
complex.
you like to have a
And what you do,
conversation with me?
instead of trying to mend yourself,
Would you
is
like
you
to have a
lash out.
conversation with me
No, I
or
wouldn't.
not?
No, I wouldn't.
You
Because
wouldn't.
you can't.
Well,
I can.
All I can say
You
is
don't
that
even
I
realise.
rang up
You don't even realise.
many months
You
ago.
don't even realise that you're on the radio.
I don't care. I rang up many
You don't
months.
even know that you're talking
I
to
don't
me.
care. I don't care. I rang up many months ago to say to somebody on Talk Radio that Tommy Boyd was dangerous.
Dangerous.
Yes, because he was proposing things
What?
in the middle of the day
What?
where children were listening.
What?
It's too long ago, and he knows as well as I do.
What?
And I said to the person,
What were the things that
I said to the person who was talking to me, I think Tommy Boyd's a very...
Do you have any idea that we share a nation with people like this? They have the vote. If you saw, what was that play an inspector called?
Tommy Boyd.
If you ever get a chance, read the play or go and see the play, because it is about people who want to damage other people, who want to inflict cruelty on other people because they have no notion of the consequences of their cruelty. And we've got a woman like that right here. You're a hopeless piece of work, madam, if you don't mind me saying so. It really is. Penny's dropped now, hasn't it? What I've been trying to tell you all along.
You have cut me off.
Now she thinks she's been
You
cut
have
off.
cut me off.
Unbelievable. You couldn't make it up.
You have cut me off.
No, if you turn your radio back on, you'll listen, you're on the
You
air
have
still.
cut me off.
No, I haven't. You're still on the radio.
Yes.
Yes. You see. You can hear yourself saying that you've
Now,
been cut
will
off.
you
What have
listen
you
to
got
me
to...
or will you not?
I've listened to you for quite long enough. You haven't
No,
got
you
anything
haven't
to say.
heard anything.
Well, you haven't answered any
You
questions.
haven't heard anything.
Look, I've got to go because you're getting
I
boring.
thought you were a nice person. I said
No, you didn't. You just said you thought I was dangerous. Now, you're going to have to go now. This is frightening. I tell you, this is frightening.
The bile that is in them.
No, I'm not frightened. I'm not
No.
frightened. It's
just astonishing, isn't it?
strengthening. It's fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
It is exhilarating. It's like going round Cape Horn. Or it's like that last slippery, icy bit just from the summit of the Matterhorn.
She probably drives a car.
Hey, gods and little fishes, don't we love it? Talksport.
Hi.
Good evening.
Is it possible I just try and speak about religion?
Yes, you can do if you really need to.
Yeah, well, I just want to say that the West claim themselves that they are always intelligent, they have the knowledge, they're logical, but it's quite incredible to believe that most of the West, Europe, they don't believe in God. And that I find it quite incredible, especially the technology and the knowledge they have.
Yes.
Most of them don't believe in God. That's why the suicidal rate and the divorce rate is always high. They just don't, they never go towards a God or never believe in a God to relieve their stress.
You're doing a bit of campaigning here on behalf of your religion?
No, I wouldn't.
We can't have a conversation if you're just going to deny absolute obvious truths. You're here to campaign on behalf of your God, aren't you?
That's not the point. The point is that...
What is your point then?
The point is that how can some people... many people don't believe in a creator.
No, look. If you're going to make a point, make a point. Don't ask a question. Even a rhetorical question isn't a good point. If you've got a point to make, and you did say you had a point to make your point.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Why do people not
No,
believe...
it's a question, you see. Either it's going to be a point or a question. You're not clear in your thinking. If you're not clear in your thinking, you're not entitled to express an opinion until you're clear in your thinking. You can't articulate or express anything until you yourself know what it is you want to express.
All right, okay, then I'll just give up.
I would. And come back when you're a lot older. Seriously. Really. Rattles people's cages, especially over Easter weekend. And Easter Sunday falling on St. George's Day. Am I one of those people who doesn't notice St. George's Day, or is that rare? And is that not a confusion? Because line 5, somebody else on the road.
Yeah, Tommy.
Hey, oh.
Good question, right? You,
Somebody else on the road.
Right, Tommy.
Yo.
Good question, right? A couple of calls ago, right, you had a young lad on, and you slated him, right, for, sort of waffling on and not putting his point across. Slated him.
Oh, yep.
Right? 5 minutes later, you started waffling and didn't know what you were saying. When you were talking about the, you started waffling Easter Sunday and stuff like that, like.
What? I wasn't as articulate as you.
I'm just as bad as everyone else, Tommy.
Not me, pal.
See you later, mate.
I sleep in the knife drawer. 08700 40 50 60.
My God, it's like winning the lottery to get through to you. You're so hard.
It's been said before.
Well, there you are.
Am I talking to Tommy Boyds?
Yes, you are.
Tommy Boyd, like, on the Wide Awake Club and all that sort of stuff?
Done that, yep.
Oh, right, cool. Brilliant friend of Timmy Mallet. Are you still friends with Timmy Mallet?
Never was and never will be. But anyway.
What, personal disagreement or...
Well, what do you think? You've seen the guy.
Well, I don't know.
What do you think?
He struck me as quite a fun sort of a character.
You are drunk, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I was...
You know what the man said about the reasons why he drinks, and it's one that I use as well. He said, I drink in order to make other people more interesting.
Is that what? That's what he said.
That's what the man said. Yes.
What's Timmy Mallet that said that?
Gee, no. I'm afraid the wit and wisdom of Timmy Mallet would certainly fit on the back of the matchbox, and he didn't come out with that one. I've never seen him drunk. Actually, I don't suppose he drinks. I don't know what he does.
I've seen him drunk, actually.
No, you haven't.
Okay, you saw right through me there.
Yes, I did. Anyway, so you're a bit tiddly, are you? Where have you been this evening?
I've been at work, and now I'm at home, right. And sort of pretty drunk.
You got drunk in between those two places, presumably.
Well, I kind of started at work, and now I'm drunk at home.
Fantastic. But it's surreptitious at the workplace, eh?
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're not a doctor. You're not a surgeon, are you? That would be interesting.
I was until a few hours ago.
Understood. Yeah.
I'm probably boring you now. So.
Beginning to, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Never mind. If I was drunk, you'd be hilarious. And fascinating.
That's great.
You'd be the most fascinating man I've met for a long time. Do you want to come back to my place and carry a conversation on? Since there are no women. Since the girls have gone home, shall we go and get a kebab? And see if we can get in a fight at the station. Now,
if I was more drunk, you'd probably be interesting as well.
Yes, okay, well, fairly good try. Not a bad. But it does bring me back to a point that I've been harping on about a little bit lately. I'll mention it on the radio now. I think I've touched on it the week before last. Because when people die, it's always presented as a tragedy. It really frightens the children into assuming that the worst thing that could possibly happen to you is you die. And yet it's going to happen to you. You know, if the worst thing that can happen to you is that you fail your A-levels, well, A, you can talk round that, and B, you can work hard and get them. But the same doesn't apply to death, because it's going to happen. So what we're doing is setting up all the children in the world to be terrified of something that is going to happen to them anyway, come what may. And I just wonder whether that we just need to soften slightly the message that death is an absolute disaster. Always. Because it isn't necessarily, especially if people choose to go. 08700 40 50. Well, we lost that call because it wasn't really very good.
So?
If you could knock an animal senseless, then what makes you think they haven't got sense? And you can knock an animal senseless.
I suppose so.
One good blow with a baseball bat.
That'd be cruel.
I'm speaking, obviously.
Yes, I know.
In the abstract. I am of the opinion that I still don't know enough to hold a load of opinions, and the more I find out, the fewer opinions I have. It's a very young thing to do, to believe. How old are you?
I'm 24.
Ah, that's a very dangerous age.
The world is full of dangerous people and dangerous things, but it is also full of beautiful and good things as well, but it's up to you.
Oh, fella, how can you say that you thought, okay, I'll bring two people kicking and screaming into this world and it's full of dangerous people?
Well,
you don't mean that.
Well, there are a lot of dangerous things.
No,
and dangerous
there
people.
aren't
Yeah.
a lot of dangerous
there are.
No, there are. Let me tell you, and I know this, and I know there's some things I know more than you.
Right.
And I'm giving you one now. The world is not full of dangerous people. And there are not a lot of dangerous people.
Oh, really?
You listen to the news too much. 10-year triple jump record at the European Championships. Steve Davis was the man beaten by Dennis Taylor in that epic, fantastic World Championship snooker final. And live, you're live on Talksport. Who's this?
It's Damien from London.
Hello, Damien.
I have to disagree with you. We do need to inform people what to feed children. There was a case of a couple who were not well informed, and they ended up killing their child because they fed it pureed.
Shut up. Shut up a minute. How old are you?
How old am I? I'm 47.
How many children have you got?
One.
You've got one. When you say you disagree...
You're an arsehole.
Isn't that terrible? What a horrible man. What a terrible man. Now, there are some people who I would ask, do you really think that you know enough to have children? To come out with such nonsense as that, to suggest that somebody else has said something which they clearly have not, that was trash, the idea that I have said that you shouldn't care about what you feed children. That's ludicrous, absolute ludicrous. It's not always a matter of getting things right, which I do. It's a matter of always getting them right in the kindest possible way. People are as soon as you hear what to feed children, you get people going on about other people being frightening in their parenting, and then you get somebody else coming on saying it's an absolute disgrace that somebody says you shouldn't care, and then wanting to tell us stories about death amongst children. It just doesn't work, that. I'm right because once a child died is deeply disturbing. It disturbs me. When you say to somebody a child died, I have to have an image, you have to have an image of a child dying. Now, there are better ways, always better ways, of making a decent point than by invoking an indecent image. Very poor, Reeves, very poor. Yeah. But there's nothing worse than being given advice you haven't asked for. I think that is the pits. I mean, there are worse things than that, obviously, like a hole in your Wellingtons or something. But to be given advice when you haven't asked for it.
Yeah, I don't like that.
That really annoys me. I've got a T-shirt lying around somewhere at home. It just says, no more advice.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Didn't you see him? I had to go across 3 fields to get him.
Hi.
Let's try line 3. Hello, line 3. It's your turn.
Hi.
Hello there.
Who's the chap that's on before you? Is it Gary Jacobs?
Yes.
I was just on the radio for a sec. Tell me if I'm out of order. But I was speaking to him about a problem I had today on behalf of somebody else, and he didn't answer my question. He just kept... he didn't answer it. He just went on to a completely different subject. I don't know why, but he wasn't any help at all.
Well, I can't comment except to say that Gary knows his stuff inside out and is very, very good at what he does.
But I didn't find him helpful at all. He didn't help me.
People don't always give you, when you ask for help, the help that you want, because it might not be possible for that help to be what you want it to be. And I'm not going to try and help you, because if it's a legal problem, he's a lawyer, and well, obviously I'm a lawyer as well, but not as good a lawyer as him.
I'm a barrister.
You're a barrister, so...
If you need any help,
I suppose we could have a go at it, couldn't we?
What's the problem?
Yeah, what's the problem?
Right. I rang in from a mum. It was about the child support agency.
Yeah.
She's been with them since 1994.
Yes.
And all she's had is about 2 letters from them, claiming that they've caught up with him and the payments are going to start. But that's the last that ever, as far as it goes, and she doesn't hear any more. And when she chases it up, they just say, we've lost him again, and that sort of thing, and just keeps going on like that. So I rang up to find out whether there's any other avenues we can take to either get them moving a bit, or anywhere else we can go. But he didn't want to help.
Well, I don't know about that. Well, that's a judgment of yours that he didn't want to help. I know Gary, and I know that that's not true.
Right, unless this
is obviously a very important and therefore very sensitive matter for you and somebody you love dearly, and you want to move this. You want to help her so much that it's painful when somebody doesn't help you in exactly the way that you want. Now, I'm not Gary, but it's clear to me that this isn't a legal point that you are pursuing here. You're asking about a course of action that you might, if a course of action exists that you might be able to take.
Yeah.
And that's not, to be fair, that's not really quite what he's here for as a lawyer, because it's not really quite a legal point so much as a matter of knowing what kind of organisations there are, both within and without the law, that might be able to tell you where you stand. You see, what I would say to you is, you've written to these people. I would say to you, see if you can get an interview with somebody there.
They don't want to know that. He was saying how good they are, but that's, but I'll disagree,
Now, I'm not, pardon?
I disagree with, not with you, with them. With Gary. Is it Gary Jacobs, isn't it? Yeah.
Don't. Can we move on? I mean, let's leave that. Let's move on. I would say that you need to talk to the people with whom at the moment you're just having correspondence.
Yeah, well, I'm doing that, but I'm talking about Gary Jacobs. It cost me I know it's not a very dear phone call, but...
Well, you're getting a bit obsessive here because...
Not really.
Yes, you are.
Why?
Well, because we're moving on from there. What good's going to come out of you banging on about this? What do you hope to happen? What's the purpose of you telling us this?
Because we're trying all these different... Well, I'm not, but my mum's been trying...
No, focus on me. No, hey.
Sorry?
Hey, concentrate.
Yeah.
I'm asking you a specific question, and I don't mind how long you take to think about it, because I want an answer out of you. What do you want to happen as a result of you making this phone call that you're making now?
Well, I did initially rang up to complain about...
What do you want to happen? We know that.
Yeah, well, I thought I'd just like to... not much is going to happen, I realise that.
Well, why on earth, then, did you ring?
Well, I shouldn't have had to ring back, should I? He should have been...
That's not the question. What do you want to happen? When we do things in life, we have to be... Listen to me.
Go on.
When we do things in life, it helps if we know exactly what we hope will happen as a result of our doing them. Whether it's boiling a kettle because we're going to make a cup of tea, that's clear. But when we open our mouths, or put pen to paper, or whatever,
right,
we have to have... It helps. It's not always possible, but it helps if we know exactly what we'd like to happen. And if we can get a clear idea in our mind of what we hope will happen, often we don't do it because we realise that we're just being rotten.
Right.
Okay. If we've got a clear idea of what we want the outcome, as it's called, to be, then it helps us say those things better. But if we just feel a bit cross and decide to have a whinge,
Yeah.
unfairly,
Why is it unfair? I don't see where it's unfair. I shouldn't. He should have said that he couldn't
so
help
you're
me.
much more comfortable having a whinge, aren't you, than focusing on how you could get better.
No, because he wanted to argue with me, didn't he? I felt.
I can understand why.
Why?
Because you're argumentative.
I'm not.
You're dogmatic, and you're not interested in adapting or compromising.
I rang up with a simple.
How old are you?
It's irrelevant. Really?
There's the answer. It is not irrelevant at all, sir. It's very important.
Why
we know that you're male. We know that you're young. I would like to know how old you are.
If you tell me why, then perhaps I'll answer it. Because I don't see where it's a bit. Because I don't see where that's concerned.
Okay, I'll tell you exactly why. All right? Because if you're underage, then I will talk to you in a certain way. If you're an adult, then I will talk to you in another way. I can discern a great deal about you, such as your level of intelligence and the mindset that you have at the moment in your life. But what I can't tell about you is your legal age.
Why do you want to know my legal age?
I've just explained that, you fool. You twit. What are you? Say it. I'm a twit.
I don't see what... No, because I don't... This is what...
I've just explained to you why I would like you to answer a simple question, which is, how old are you?
I don't wish to answer that. I wish to make...
Tough, then you've gone, because I cannot talk to you any further in this conversation without knowing what your legal position is.
I'm 21.
Right, you're 21.
Yeah.
Well, what's the problem with that?
But I don't see where it's irrelevant.
Because you could have been 15.
But why does that matter?
If you don't know why that matters, you haven't had much of a dealing with the CSA, have you?
Yes, because we've established this with the CSA already.
Who is the child here?
Sorry?
Who is the child?
There isn't a child. He owes £10,000 in arrears. He doesn't have to pay for me now. He hasn't paid.
What does CSA stand for?
Child Support Agency.
Who is the child in this case?
There isn't one. That's just
then what the hell's it got to do with the CSA?
Because there's no one else to go to. They claim that they are the only people that can deal with it.
Okay.
Because he doesn't have to pay now.
I've pointed out a couple of things that you might like to think about, but heaven knows I don't think you will. I think you're much happier being cross with your dad and cross with people.
Gary Jacobs.
Yes, and cross with Gary Jacobs.
You're not helping.
And hey, you got one more to add to the list, haven't you? Because now you're cross with me too.
Not really, no, because you're cross with me, aren't you, for ringing up and talking about Gary Jacobs. I'm not cross with you. I've got no reason to be.
I'm not in the slightest bit cross with you for talking about Gary Jacobs.
But why didn't he just tell me that he couldn't help me instead of beating around the bush? Because that's what he did.
You really aren't going to let this alone, have you? Have you any idea how your mind works? How much it enjoys being angry?
But why didn't he just tell me?
I asked you a question. What was the question I just asked you?
How much I enjoy being angry.
No, that was not the question I asked you. What was the question I asked you?
Remind me, please.
Exactly. I don't remember how it starts off, but I think it's a bloke giving a lecture or something, and it's about sex, and he says how many. He says, let me give you an example. He says to the audience, he says, how many people here make love 3 times a week? And quite a few hands go up. And he says, I see, put your hands down. He says, how many people here make love once a week? And some more hands go up. And he said, how many people here make love once a month? Hands go up, you see. And then he says, how many people here then make love once a year? And right down the front, there's this little bloke. And his hand goes up, and he's got this huge grin on his face. And the psychiatrist says, well, he said, it's very honest of you to own up. He said, but why are you smiling? And the little fella says, Tonight. It's all right, you know. It works. I'll tell you a funny story, and to this day, I don't know if it's true.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.